Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today I am going to share my top 10 list of video games that deserve remakes. And before we get into the list, some games in this list may have already had remakes before, but of course I would love to see like another remake of one game in this list. So let's get into it, shall we? Number 10, Super Mario 64. Like, Mario 64 has already had a remake for the DS back in 2004, but Mario 64, I'm not gonna lie, was a classic. And I really hope at some point in the future that they do end up remaking this game for modern platforms. Because I was hoping for a full-on remake before 3D All-Stars was announced. But hopefully, if they do 3D All-Stars properly for Mario's 40th, hopefully each game is fully remade and the older versions are not used. And Mario 64 has all the content from the DS version used, and hopefully a few more content as well. Number 9, Earthbound. Like, Earthbound is probably one of the most underused Nintendo franchises of all time, probably. And with Mother 3 only released in Japan, I don't see a realistic 3D remake of Mother 3. But I could see a potential remake of the original Earthbound. Because the game that also inspired Undertale, Earthbound, I do think is one of those RPGs that definitely deserves a remake. Number 8, Kingdom Hearts. Like, I know there's already a Kingdom Hearts 4 in development, but why not a remake of the first Kingdom Hearts game? Because, of course, the original Kingdom Hearts, I don't know any way you can play it, like, at the moment, on a modern day platform, outside of the Nintendo Switch cloud port that turned out terrible, because it's cloud port, of course. And I do think the fact that it was on Nintendo Switch through cloud streaming was just a bad idea, because the Switch is more powerful than a PS2. So, if we were to get a Kingdom Hearts remake for the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation 5, as well as PC, maybe make it similar to the art style of Kingdom Hearts for 3DS, but halfway between there and Kingdom Hearts 3. Maybe that could end up being a remake of the original Kingdom Hearts from the PlayStation 2. Number 7, Halo Combat Evolved. Like, you're probably wondering, BB8, hasn't Halo Combat Evolved already had a remake within Halo the Master Chief Collection? Yes, it has already had a remake within Halo the Master Chief Collection. But I do think a proper remake of Halo Combat Evolved, the first Halo game, is probably one thing I do want to see in the future. Like, keeping all of the multiplayer and the story mode from the original Halo, but not making it live service like Infinite, of course, because if they were to remake the first Halo for Halo's 25th anniversary, I do think adding live service to a remake is probably a terrible idea, because this probably might interfere with Infinite's live service. And of course, keeping the multiplayer of the original and the story mode as well. Keep all the mechanics from the original, but the only difference here is the graphics being near identical to Infinite, but not quite. And I do think remaking Halo Combat Evolved could end up giving Halo fans at heart or new to Halo a chance to witness the first Halo game and where it all started for the famous Chief himself. Number 6, Donkey Kong Country. Like, I know Donkey Kong Country Returns exists and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, but instead of getting a third installment in the Returns trilogy, why not get a remake of the first Donkey Kong Country, but with a new engine, not taking into graphics from Returns, but obviously having new graphics, unlike the original DK Country game and Returns. And I do think if they were to remake the first Donkey Kong Country, they could end up making it extended a bit. Like, having all the same levels in there as they did before. And if they were to remake Donkey Kong Country, I do think it would end up being in a collection consisting of Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest, and Donkey Kong Country 3. So I do think they will release a collection of all 3 Donkey Kong Country games, all remade from the ground up, similar to how we've had Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Number 5, Sonic Heroes. Like, I know this game got mixed reception across the internet, but personally, I do think Sonic Heroes is a wacky idea. And if they were to remake Sonic Heroes into a modern Sonic game, I do think they could end up bringing back all the teams that they did before, but add 2 new teams, probably with some characters from the newer Sonic games, or one of the leaders being Mighty and the other being Ray from Sonic Mania. Because, of course, I'm that kind of Sonic fan who just wants to have Mighty and Ray used a bit more in the Sonic franchise, of course. And I do think that a Sonic Heroes remake could end up having a unique mechanic for each platform, of course, being the ability to switch between Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, or depending which team you have chose. So for the Switch, you could end up using the touchscreen to swap between the characters. For the PlayStation 5, you could swipe on the touchpad. The PC, you can just click on that character And what would the Xbox get? They'll probably figure it out at some point. So I do think Sonic Heroes is a wacky idea. And I am hoping that Sega come back to Sonic Heroes with a remake at some point in the future. Like, I do understand that this game does have one of my most hated Sonic characters being playable. I would love to see Sonic Heroes get a remake. Number 4, The Simpsons Hit and Run. That probably got a lot of you curious to why Homer Simpson is on the thumbnail. Like, I know The Simpsons wasn't a video game originally to begin with, but despite how much of the internet wants a Simpsons Hit and Run remake, that I had to put it on this list. And realistically, the Simpsons game that released the same year as the Simpsons movie, I don't see getting a realistic remake. But a Simpsons Hit and Run remake for the Xbox, PS5, and if it can handle it, the Switch, as well as PC, I do think would end up being a fun game to come back to all these years later. Number 3, Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. I know this one is cheating, like putting 2 games on the same spot, but I do think Banjo-Kazooie is worthy of a remake. Like, it has been almost 25 years, like next year, since the original came out. And I do think a Banjo-Kazooie remake, being in a 2-game collection with Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, I could end up seeing a Banjo remake at some point. Maybe with a quality of life feature, being a map where you can check the Jinjos, the Jiggies, and the music notes you have and haven't collected yet. And I do think the multiplayer mode encrypted into Banjo-Tooie could also be online as well. And being able to keep the Jiggies and the Jinjos you've collected, unlike the Nintendo 64 version, I do think could end up being a quality of life feature in the game as well, similar to the Xbox 360 version. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Probably one of the best 2D Zeldas. I do think A Link to the Past is probably that game that really deserves a remake. I know Link's Awakening already got a remake in 2019, but A Link's Awakening remake was fun to play, but I wonder how they're going to handle A Link to the Past, since A Link to the Past did have a different colour scheme to Link's Awakening. And I do see a few quality of life features being used compared to the 1990s original. Before we get to our number 1 pick, here is some honourable mentions. If you would like to see a part 2, just comment below. Number 1, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Probably the most unrealistic remake that could happen, but I would love to see them come back to that version of Mario at some point. Probably not realistic because Square Enix does own some of the characters, such as Geno, Mallow, and a lot more. But a Mario RPG remake, and I wonder how its unique art style would translate into that. Because the movement was diagonal in that game, and I am kind of interested to see how it would turn out in modern day. So guys, what did you think of my top 10 list of games that deserve remakes? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another video like this one in the future. Like, I am probably gonna do a video soon on top 10 video game characters that deserve their own spin-off games. But for now, that is on the table. So I will see you all in a future video. BB8 out.